NATO will now boost its own security posture.
Today we directed our military commanders to develop additional measures to enhance our collective defense and deterrence against any threat of aggression to the alliance. We will make sure we have updated military plans, enhanced exercises, and appropriate deployments.
In the meantime, NATO's statement says its relations with Moscow will be limited to diplomatic dialogue.
We have decided to suspend all practical, civilian and military cooperation between NATO and Russia. Our political dialogue in the NATO-Russia Council can continue as necessary at the ambassadorial level and above to allow us to exchange views, first and foremost on the crisis.
Ukraine is not some distant land. It is right in Europe here. We got Ukraine here. And just a reminder, these countries neighboring Europe, they're all NATO allies. Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania. In fact, all these countries in green are NATO countries. And just look at the distances. You know, Kiev to Frankfurt, it's only a couple hours flight. Kiev down to Rome, a couple hours, a little longer to London. This is not some distant land. To have this kind of division, violent division right in the middle of Europe causes instability. It's a real worry to all these countries and to the U.S. because we're so close to them.
A new escalation. This American destroyer buzzed repeatedly on Saturday by a Russian fighter jet in the Black Sea. The Pentagon revealing today and calling it provocative and unprofessional.
The message is, we see you, we don't like you in our backyard, and we prefer that you would leave.
This as none other than the head of the CIA, John Brennan, was secretly in Ukraine. Shades of a new Cold War. America and Russia now squaring off over Ukraine. President Putin denied the charge on a call with President Obama tonight, urging him to stop Ukraine from using force against protesters. First, Russia took Crimea. Now pro-Russian unrest is sweeping the eastern part of the country, and the U.S. is accusing Russia of orchestrating.
We are obviously very concerned about Russian actions in Ukraine, attempts to destabilize Ukraine.
Well-equipped armed gunmen and mobs are seizing control of government buildings, which we've seen firsthand.
So where we are is on one of the roads to the town of Salyansk. Salyansk appears to be the focal point of what the Ukrainian government is calling this anti-terror operation. It is a town where pro-Russian militants and protesters have really consolidated their control in recent days, more so than other towns around here. Late yesterday we saw the Ukrainian military move in very closely to this town, taking back a nearby airfield. Where I'm standing now, there is a very heavily armed, well dug in police checkpoint. They're checking all the vehicles moving through here, the contents of the cars, and just around the corner what appears to be another Ukrainian military staging point. A large number of Ukrainian soldiers, armoured personnel carriers, and we're seeing military helicopters coming and going from this location, including attack helicopters. The question now really is, what is the intention of the Ukrainian military? Are they planning, thinking about moving in and trying to take back this town by force? Because all the noise coming from within the town is that these pro-Russian forces are prepared to fight back. And in a sign of just how complicated all of this is, we're now seeing images from within Salyansk which show armoured vehicles advancing forward under a Russian flag.
A number of armoured personnel carriers, which seemingly used to be Ukrainian military just a few hours ago, according to the insignia we've seen on them and the flag flying over one of them, are now in the hands of pro-Russian militants here. A mixed bunch of pro-Russian militants, because some of them are clearly less disciplined than the others, who are well organised, well trained, have quite impressive weaponry in their possession.
As tensions rise, so have the number of threats against foreign journalists.
These troops await
American Simon Ostrovsky, a reporter for Vice News, has been detained for 2 days. Today, we went to see the man now holding Ostrovsky. He was giving incorrect, one-sided information, the mayor told us, adding that Ostrovsky needs to be taught a lesson.
Is he being treated well? Do you plan to release him soon?
He feels fine. We're feeding him well, he said. Nothing unpleasant is happening to him. The mayor assured us that Ostrovsky would eventually be released. Tonight, the United States is calling on Russia to use its influence with those pro-Russia groups to get him and other detainees out. But so far, no sign of his ordeal ending anytime soon.
Ukraine's armed forces are attempting to pinch off rebel supply lines into the tense city of Slavyansk. They briefly overran a pro-Russian military checkpoint, menacing the city's outskirts with armored vehicles. One person is believed to have been killed not far from here, and Kiev says 4 more died in other clashes. This man was on the spot when the army came and says he knew one of the dead militants.
In the morning, our guys were on the way home and they were gunned down. Soon after, a few military vehicles came out to this roadblock.
The extremists are expecting a bigger attack to come soon.
Right now, there is breaking news on the crisis in Ukraine. A Pentagon spokesman confirming to CNN that Russian aircraft have entered Ukrainian airspace several times over the last 24 hours. The United States is urging Russia to de-escalate the situation. It's getting more violent, more dangerous on the ground as well. Ukraine's prime minister lashing out at Russia for its role in the conflict, accusing Moscow of wanting, quote, World War III. President Obama says targeted sanctions against Russia now are ready to go. His words, ready to go.
The fear tonight is that bloodshed will only add fuel to the fire, and Russia may use it as an excuse to invade, taking this standoff with the U.S. to a new and dangerous level. Alex Marquardt, ABC News, Donetsk in eastern Ukraine.